The president of Federation of African Engineering Organizations, FAEO, Engineer Mustafa Shehu, has said that building collapse and failure of infrastructure, especially within the African continent, is due to lack of legislation and failure to adhere strictly to existing legislation on engineering practices. Engineer Mustafa said this during the maiden press briefing of the organization to announce the resolutions of the 11th General Assembly and the election of new officers in Abuja, Nigeria.
The strongest reason of having building collapses or failures of infrastructure in Africa is actually lack of legislation or lack of adherence to existing legislations. In other parts of the globe, there is no way you can not only to build a structure, even to do a minor renovation in your own house, you have to get the appropriate approvals. But here, somebody can start a structure from ground floor to third floor without all the necessary approvals in many cities in Africa. And that is why we are trying in many countries to have a very close collaboration between the engineering institutions and the legislative arms of government. And as of today, in Nigeria, we are working on the amendment of the Quran Act. The Quran Act is that part of the Nigeria's legislation that governs the practice of engineering. And it is through that you can at least eliminate any pitfall that is associated with inadequate legislation.
Also reacting to the failure of infrastructure in the continent, the immediate past president of the organization, Dr. Martin Van Villen, said that building collapse and failed infrastructure is mostly a problem of fraudulent contractors who prefer to cut costs to the detriment of design specifications.
We have to keep in mind that there are many more buildings being constructed without problems than the buildings that collapse. But nobody writes or reports in the press about the building that does not fall down. You only hear about the ones that fall down. That's the one. The second one, the main reason why we have these disasters and collapses is not because of the deficiency of the engineer. It comes with the contractor. We either have an incompetent contractor who does not know how to follow the plans that have been provided to him by the engineer, or we have corrupt contractors. And then on top of that, he used an inferior quality of concrete mix of cement. And the two together just was a recipe for disaster.
Some of the resolutions of the 11th General Assembly includes intensification of efforts in establishing strong relationship with the African Union with the aim of offering advisory services on engineering and infrastructural development in the continent. Also, it was resolved in the Assembly that the FAEO will serve as a vehicle to drive the Abuja Declaration that is signed in 2013 between the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, WFEO, and the Federation of African Engineering Organizations, FAEO, aimed at the establishment of active engineering institutions in all African countries. From Abuja, Nigeria, I am Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television News.
Publisher of a Nigerian newspaper, leadership newspaper, Nda Azaya, has formally joined the roll call of presidential aspirants of the country's main opposition party, All Progressive Congress, by paying 27,500,000 to pick the nomination form at the party headquarters in Abuja. While receiving the presidential nomination form, the publisher said it's on a rescue mission to turn around the fortune of the country.
Nigeria is just 4 months away from change. We are just 4 months away from changing this country. And everything has to be done. All hands have to be on deck. Everybody must be mobilized, all Nigerians, to ensure that we rescue our country.
Nda Issa said if elected, he will pay more attention to the country's erratic power sector.
If the PDP government has already spent $25 billion, there is no reason why we should still be having for our power. Exactly. I mean, it's as simple as that. If we stop stealing, there is no way that $25 billion. I'm sorry, $25 billion. Like I said in my speech in Mina, the largest single power station in the world, the Three Gorges Dam in China, which produces 22,000 megawatts, was built for $26 billion. So why is it that our own 25 billion can only generate about 2,000? So I mean, I don't want people to believe that this is not possible. It's very possible.
Meanwhile, the national chairman of All Progressive Congress, John Oyegun, pledged that the party will make Nigerians proud in the next political dispensation.
Creating a nation that all of us will be proud to own up to. A nation that takes care of us. And since it takes care of us and takes care of all its citizens, the citizens also, in reciprocal measure, will be ready to defend that nation wherever they are. And if necessary, shed their blood for that nation because they believe in the leadership, because they believe the party, the APC, will be taking care of them, because they believe that the APC will make every Nigerian proud.
3 other presidential aspirants has earlier picked the APC nomination form. They are General Muhammadu Buhari, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele.
Life after retirement can sometimes be a challenging experience, especially in this part of the world. Most civil servants who depend solely on gratuity and their pension allowances find this period a very difficult one. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, in collaboration with Project Fix Nigeria, has taken a major step in this regard to make sure that staff of the agency have alternative source of income that will take care of their after active service lives by organizing a 2-day economic empowerment workshop where members of staff can learn how their money can work for them. Speaking during the event, the Director General of NAFDAC, Paul Ori, said it's a way to reduce the over-dependence on pension allowances.
Well, first and foremost, we are providing them an option B for wealth creation. Being a staff, being a civil servant, you are allowed, only the Constitution allows you to engage, apart from being a civil servant, only in agricultural activity. Incidentally, agriculture is one area where Nigeria has a comparative advantage over other countries. So this empowerment program is for the benefit, and of course you know that the president has an agricultural transformation agenda, so that we want to diversify our economy away from over-dependence on oil imports. We are empowering the farmers, first and foremost our staff, giving them an opportunity to create wealth away from the office. And then apart from that, apart from the job, they are creating wealth, they are creating food security for this country, they are keen into the agricultural transformation agenda of Mr. President, and of course they are guaranteeing food security for this country. So there are the benefits for everybody in this area. On
the issue of the venture interfering with their duties at work, the DG said that it was factored into the plan from the beginning.
The good thing about this is that they are not personally going to be involved in this. Their money will work for them. They just form a cooperative where they contribute a certain percentage of their monthly income, and then that money works for them. And the good thing is that they are still young in the system and they can monitor how their money is doing. And if they are not happy with the program, they can have another way of maybe thinking about their retirement plan.
On completion of this workshop, members of staff are expected to form a cooperative that will assess and control this venture. From Abuja, Nigeria, I am Festus Ejirogenefife for Ben Television News.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has made case for the protection and promotion of the rights of women and girl child in Nigeria, saying it is not negotiable. Atiku Abubakar said this at a public presentation of a book titled Rethinking the Legal Framework for the Right of Women and Girl Child in honor of his wife Titi Abubakar. He called for compulsory and free education for girl child.
Free compulsory basic education for all children under 18 to be funded by state and local government with federal support. 2. Public health efforts to reduce maternal mortality and child mortality rates. 3. The institution of welfare system by state governments with federal support that provides some support for the aged and the needy.
Meanwhile, Titi Abubakar used the occasion to highlight some of her role in championing the cause of womenhood.
Women are used to give them microcredits. You know, I have cancelled over 6,000 boys and girls. You people should realize that it is not only girls that are being trafficked. Even men are also being trafficked. And in the process, I have cancelled over 6,000 boys and girls. I've given them microcredits. I have a rehabilitation center where I rehabilitate boys and girls. They are in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. And there are so many that I have given microcredits to, and today they are employers of labor.
The book presentation ceremony was attended by many dignitaries, including former Chief Justice of the Federation, Mohammed Uwais. From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting.